welcome to another episode of the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Today, I'm excited to have my co host, Johnny Farquhar, of course, from Summit Risk Solutions, and we have ReadyChek. For those of you who haven't heard of ReadyChek before, I think you're going to find this quite interesting. Let me see if I've done this right. Hey! I did this right. Morning, Johnny.
I'm here. I'm here. I fed the squirrels 2 extra peanuts today.
I tell you, anyways. Hey, Chad, and I know Michelle is there with you. Good morning, good morning. Yay, the better looking half, Michelle.
Good morning, you guys.
Hi,
Morning.
Morning, Chris. Morning, John.
how are you all doing this morning, Chad and Michelle?
We're doing pretty good. Yeah, it's Friday, so that's always a nice part of the week, of course.
Woohoo, it's Friday. We all got to love, who doesn't love, well, hold it. We're all self-employed. Who here works on Saturdays?
We do.
I was going to say, come on now. I usually put a good 7 or 8 hours in on a Saturday as well. So, you know, but
I prefer not to work Saturdays or Sundays, and I'm really working hard at not working Fridays anymore. So my new Friday is going to be Thursday. Hey!
well,
That's amazing. Congratulations, John.
We're trying. I haven't succeeded, but we're trying.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that we're all as rich as John that we can, get this 4-day work.
Rich? No. It's more like stupid.
All right, we're here to talk about ReadyChek. ReadyChek.
Ready,
Hey,
check, go.
well, Chad, how long has ReadyChek been operating, and who's your typical? Well, let's start it off with who's your typical customer? Who's ReadyChek targeting and why?
Right. So ReadyChek has a product, obviously, that helps you record your vehicle inspections and hours of service.
Well,
What
hold
we
it.
do is
Hold
we
it.
really.
Don't
Sorry?
say obviously.
Oh,
People don't know about ReadyChek. I know that ReadyChek has this product. So
Right.
what's the product that ReadyChek has?
okay. So ReadyChek has a vehicle inspection and hours of service app for everybody who is 160 or less. So everybody who drives around town, landscapers. Yeah, there's your mug. That's right. Excellent. Uh, sorry, I said landscapers, bus companies. So, for example, there's a number of companies that shuttle people around who might have trouble getting around themselves, right? So we have a number of those customers, limousine customers, garbage disposal companies, everybody you see, cable contractors that get contracted out for Bell and Rogers, those type of customers. And yeah, the 160 guys, and there's a lot of them.
So
Can you like municipality operations, the hydro
Yeah.
trucks, those guys, can they use that as well?
Absolutely, yeah. They can use that for inspections and obviously our hours of service. Yeah.
School buses?
Yep. Schedule 2, or that's what, Schedule 3?
School buses are 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yep. Cool.
and if I'm from Alberta, can I use it?
Yes, absolutely. We've got NSC Standard 13 as part of the app too. So we do have a number of customers from the West there now. So that's great.
All right, so NSC is National Safety Code, just to translate for anybody, because if we're talking to the people in the 160, they may not be our typical trucker type person, so they may not know about all these different acronyms.
Right. That's so true.
Well, what's a vehicle inspection, for example?
Right. So I think there's a great video that just came out yesterday, I believe, that talks about the importance of vehicle inspections. But it's it's
And
just
who has to do them?
and who has to do them, right?
Yeah.
But it's a an inspection where you walk around your vehicle and you walk around your trailer and you make sure that there's no broken parts. There's 23 different inspection points that you need to check. And of course with ReadyChek, you can quickly record the results of your inspection in our app.
And well, let me say this: there's 23 points, but if I don't go past the 160, like I'm driving a heavy pickup truck, for example. Maybe it's a dually, and yeah, it's over 4,500 kg, the registered gross weight. But I mean, come on, it's a pickup truck. I just, I'm a driver. I get in there and it's all good to go. I just drive.
I was going to say, you probably got a G license, so you're not even a commercial driver. So what the heck?
Exactly, Johnny. I mean, G licensed drivers, they're used to hopping into their car every morning, and unless it doesn't start, they don't know if the lights are working, typically, or, so what's the difference if I'm driving a pickup truck?
Well, there really isn't. I mean, I guess for me, I'm driving a pickup truck every day too, but mine's not a CVR pickup truck, right? So I haven't registered my business for commercial use. So if your vehicle is registered for commercial use, then yeah, you need to do this inspection. You need to make sure that everything is in working order. Your tire's not going to fall off the truck while you're driving down the road, or your load's not secure, or your lights, your tail lights. I saw this the other day just driving through Waterloo. Is that I saw a truck in the distance, and I'm like, that guy's tail lights are out, right? And I pulled up beside him, and sure enough, it was a CVR vehicle. And I'm like, that's out of service. That guy's not supposed to be driving.
Ow!
So,
didn't look, didn't check, didn't care. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's there to keep us all safe, and I understand that. A lot of people do the inspections only because the government mandates that you have to do them. And ReadyChek's here to make it as easy as possible, right? So you don't have to memorize anything. Everything's in the app that you need to inspect. All the possible defects, major and minor, are all listed there. There's no guessing. You're not, we're not hiding any information from you. If you pick a major defect, it'll say, hey, your vehicle's out of service. You can't drive this, right? So go pick another one.
But how does it? Oh, go ahead, Johnny.
I was just thinking, you could. I'm thinking of an outfit or a couple of different outfits that could utilize this tool, and they're not even required by law to complete a vehicle inspection. So it would be a best practice in their case. And I'm thinking of like a commercial operation. They run around, do service work, and they run in these little service vans. But it's actually going to be a client here that I'm going to work with. And one of their problems is the drivers are ignoring the vehicles totally, and they're having maintenance issues, collisions, crashes, all this kinds of stuff. And it's silly little things like they don't even know they have a headlight out, they don't know they have a tail light out and whatnot, and they don't know what to do. And that's where I'm going to go in and talk to them. And one of the things I'm going to bring up is, I think ReadyChek could fix your problems, because now it'll help you and guide you to do that inspection, and it'll record that you did it.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is we'll notify, let's say the safety manager or whoever's responsible for the vehicles. Like an email will go directly to them. So when somebody reports that that headlight is out, within seconds after it's reported, it'll appear as an email in their inbox, and they'll say, oh look, truck number 1, the front left headlights out. I can schedule that for maintenance tonight, or I'll order the part so that it's available for my mechanic to fix, or whoever does your maintenance, right? So, and then after that too, when the maintenance is actually completed, you can record either in the app or using our web portal that the repair's been made, so that when you go to that facility audit later in the year or whenever it happens, you can provide, hey, look, it was reported in the morning, we fixed it that night. We recorded it here in the inspection, and we're good. And we'll pass that facility audit with flying colors, at least from our point of view.
I like it. I like it.
That's what I was going to ask Johnny. How does this, immediate traceable recording and reporting to the management, and then a way to document it? How does that affect an MTO audit or a court action?
Oh,
Yeah.
very much so. Just like, look at Chad. He has just changed his whole appearance here on the podcast, and it's amazing. We don't have this happen very often. But no, great tool, Chad, because that is exactly what you're trying to do, is accountability between reporting and recording. And I think that's one of the things we see a downfall in the industry is drivers might record the defect, but they're not necessarily reporting it to somebody.
Well, and
Yeah,
the
we
report.
actually have a customer that does have both CVOR and non-CVOR vehicles, and they do checks on all of the vehicles because they found that they were
Perfect. Yeah.
Sorry,
actually implement this for both.
sorry, Michelle. We didn't get that answer or your comment because I went and accidentally muted you. Well, right after, I know. I'm sorry. I hit a button. I went, oh, and I was like swearing under my breath.
Yeah. Well, it was okay. I was reading her lips, so I can tell you what she said. Here you go. I'm going to translate.
So
Nice.
Michelle, the last thing I heard you say
There.
was you had a customer that has both CVOR and non-CVOR vehicles, and
Oh, okay. And they use ReadyChek for all of them to make sure, because they were finding that they were having vehicle difficulties with the non-CVOR vans and trucks, but they were not being told about it by the drivers, and it wasn't being found until someone else needed to use it, and then they found out that there was a problem. So they use this for all of their vehicles, regardless of CVOR or not.
that's awesome. And
Excellent.
I happen to know that your app has grown and expanded at the moment. And first of all, we'll talk about something that I hope, pray, we are all tired of, and that would be COVID. But tell us what you quickly were able to develop for the app.
Oh yeah, right. So early last year, obviously with COVID, we added the ability to do a check-in, we call it, where we will before you can do anything. So we built a workflow into the app too, so that you can't make violations, right? So one of the things that we've done is we've said if you have our check-in feature enabled in the product, that's the first thing you need to do in the morning before you can create an inspection, before you can do your hours of service. You need to do a check-in, and here it is up on the screen. And what this does is you click that open button, and it takes you to your provincial government's website that has the COVID screening form. So we're in Ontario right now. If you were to click that button, it would take you to the Ontario screening form. You'd fill it out. It would tell you whether or not you could work. We don't record any of that information, so we don't have any personal health information on the device or know of it. All we do is say, hey, did you finish the form? You say yes. You say, are you allowed to work? Are you allowed to go into work? And you can say yes. And then you sign it. You save your manager or whoever you want that information to go to. And that's all that gets back to them too. No personal health information is shared. It just says that you're available to work that day. And and then once you've completed that, you can then move on to our hours of service product and onto our vehicle inspection product. That's also part of the app. So that's a neat little thing that we do, and it's very handy. A lot of companies, they were using like text messaging, like in the morning they had all their employees like text somebody, and of course they would forget and whatever else. So this just made it nice and handy that this is the first thing that they do when they wake up in the morning or when they go to get in their truck and they know they have to do a vehicle inspection because they're at home with their vehicle. Well, the first thing they need to do is do that check-in to say that they're okay to work, right? And then once that's done, then they can move on. If they have the hours of service enabled, they can start their hours of service, and then after that, they can start their vehicle inspection.
Johnny, you had a question
Cool.
about hours of service, didn't you, about the app?
Yeah, does it do anything as far as, tracking some hours of service or even just, when I start my day? Because within your 160, we're still required to monitor how much we work. So we might not necessarily have to complete out a logbook or an ELD, but we do need to, note when we started our day and when we finished our day, kind of time markers and whatnot. So does it do anything along that line, Chad?
Yeah, that's exactly what it does, John. So again, just going back to that workflow, the way we made it, if you have hours of service, enabled on the app, you can't actually do your inspection until you start your hours of service, right? Because when you start your inspection, you're on duty. You're not driving, but you're on duty. And from our experience and our customers' experience, a number of them got busted for that, because what they do is they would do their inspection, they'd hop in their truck, they'd drive to work, they'd punch in, and that could be a half-hour difference, right?
Oh, burn!
And so the MTO would notice that and say, okay, guys, what's going on here? Like, there's a half hour of on driving time that's missing.
Right.
So what we did with the app is, that's why we've got this workflow. So when you come in, you did that check-in, which we just saw. Now you have to do hours of service. So you start your hours of service. You press that. It's super easy. We've been iterating quickly to get this workflow, but you see today's. We've got a grid graph, just like everybody's used to seeing. Right? Of course, you don't fill it out; it's all digital. You press a start button, and it pops up, and it says, "Okay, where's your start location?" So, for the 160 guys, they don't have to record the locations where they switch duty status.
Right.
They just have to record the duty status, right? So, what we do is we say, "Okay, you're starting your day. So where's your start location?" And then we have some helper buttons that'll say either they're at HQ, they're at home. They're just somewhere in the world, so they can just press it and get GPS lookup, and then so they press that, and then they press save, and that starts the hours of service log for the day, right? And then after that, it enables 3 buttons on the front of the screen: on duty driving, and then off duty. And then so you just have you can imagine you just have your phone up. In your vehicle somewhere, stuck to the dashboard, let's say, or just even down below. And when you start driving, you get in, you press on driving, and then when you get to your location, you press on duty, right? And we record it as you go. Very similar to an ELD, right? It's just we're not connected to the vehicle, right? So that, because a lot of these ELDs are connected to the vehicle, so as soon as you turn your car on, or your vehicle on, I should say, it says, oh, hey, I noticed the engine's on, so I'm going to say you're on duty driving, right? So we just don't have that tie right now, but we have everything else.
Sure.
So really, it is very ELD-like, just a whole lot simpler to use. Designed for the 160 guys. And then just to wrap that up, you'll see the grid graph will fill out during the day. So you'll see off duty, on duty. You take driving. You take a break for lunch. You'll go back to off duty, let's say, for your lunch, so forth and so on. Just so you can imagine the grid graph in your head. And then when you're done for the day, you go back to the shop. You say you're on duty. You clean up or whatever. You go home, you press off duty, you press finish, you record your finish location, you press save, and you're done for the day.
After you sign it.
After you sign it, yes, sorry. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, and then it's that simple.
And there's no rulers involved.
Yay, no rulers. So
Oh,
the lines are all
no
straight.
pens, no crayons.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to highlight an interesting thing that I hadn't thought of before. That, a lot of guys take the company truck home, park it in the driveway, because we're talking about smaller vehicles. We're talking about vans and pickup trucks. And they've got to do a vehicle inspection once every 24 hours, just like everybody else does. And yes, they're probably, I hope they're doing it in their driveway before they drive the vehicle. And I had forgotten about that piece of going from the driveway to the shop. That's on duty. That's driving time. And MTO can really smack you for driving that. Well, because I'm from the trucking side of things, I don't have a lot of customers that fit this mold. It is a gap that I can see a lot of companies failing an audit for. Because the driver is driving a truck and it's not being recorded.
Yep.
And that's how we got our very, very first customer back in 2019 was a company in London. They had this problem because they let all their drivers take the trucks home, right? And they were doing that. They were doing their vehicle inspection, but they were using that clocked in time when they arrived at work at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning as their start time, and they got busted for that. So when they said, "Hey, this was our problem," I was like, "Okay, well, we can help you with that," and that was the initial kickoff for our hours of service.
Hey, it
Cool.
you know, and I'm sorry, in my mind, I'm now going, I used to live beside a neighbor that worked for not Halton region, I forget what region Burlington is, but he worked for the Burlington City, the region. And when he was on duty on the weekends, he brought the truck home all the time. And it sat there in his driveway unless he had an emergency call that he had to go out and take care of. You know, I can see a lot of people being affected by that. That's a huge can of worms.
Yep.
You know, oh, Andrew, Stacy, sorry. Let me throw this. Here, Andrew's got a question for you, Chad. All right, will this work in every province?
Yeah, absolutely. The only caveat to that is Quebec. We haven't added their heavy vehicle list to the app, but we can do that if we get a Quebec customer. But it would be in English. So hopefully that's okay. But we could, if the customer's big enough, I would definitely add French. Don't get me wrong.
Well, Andrew, you may not know Andrew. John and I both know Andrew, and he's from
Troublemaker.
Alberta.
Troublemaker.
He's got this godforsaken
guys.
mustache
Come on.
out there,
Yeah.
So he's asking on behalf of all Albertans and maybe those in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and BC. So the answer was, Andrew, yes, it conforms to the National Safety Code. It is not an ELD, however, it makes an easy job of tracking hours of service.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, instead of doing it like we heard Michelle say, we don't need a ruler. Well, it digitizes the whole process, so it makes it just that much easier. Tap the button, move on. So instead of me having to draw some lines for the day or just marking when I go on duty, off duty throughout the day, this simplifies the process. Why not? So easy.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We want to take that paper out of the. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and because you're within the 160 rule, there's no requirement for an electronic logging device. So it's the perfect tool to simplify the paper tracking basis.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, and we've helped people understand, different customers understand that technically in the regulations, the driver doesn't need to keep track of their duty status, but the company does.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So when we say that, they look at us like, "Oh, really?" We're like, "Yeah." So that's why we have this. Why are you tracking it when you can ask your driver to track it and then just see the results every day? Right?
Yeah, just to be clear, the regulations say that the driver doesn't have to do a logbook, but the company needs to know how much time the driver spent in each duty status, as it says in the regs. So, yeah, and many companies go, really? And so this is the issue that ReadyChek has tackled and solved.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's funny when you mention that to them. There's a little light bulb moment. They're like, "Wow, okay," and then then they embrace it full on.
Yeah, perfect. Chad, Michelle,
Cool.
Last word. Michelle, you're so much easier on the eyes than Chad is. Let me tell you.
He just has a big head. That's okay. He just takes up the whole screen.
Did you have to have the doorways in the house enlarged for that?
Yes, a little. Yes.
No, we really, with the app in general, it's really simplified for several of our newest customers how much things are going in a digital direction, and for them getting rid of the paper, being able to track the trucks and the vehicles with their defects, knowing when they need to do maintenance, things like that for problems that they've seen. Like, they're super happy with the ability to do all of this digitally because, as Chad mentioned earlier, one of them was having to text all the drivers every day A, can you go in for COVID? B, have you checked the vehicle? Like, so they just weren't getting their inspection information back in time. Some of them
Sure.
weren't doing it. In terms of hours of service, they didn't know until they talked with us about starting the inspection work. We mentioned, do you need our hours of service as well? They said, no, we don't. We don't go over 160. And I said, okay, the drivers aren't going to get pulled over and asked for their hours of service. But if you have a facility audit, you will be asked for their hours of service.
Yep.
And she's like, oh. And so they went and I had them speak with TriShield, our partner working on TriShield Consulting, and they do a lot of consulting, helping people understand what they need for their audits. So she spoke with them and she called us back and said, okay, so I need your hours of service. So now that we've got them set up, they check everything now, and it's been a huge workflow improvement for their processes. So
Yep.
I feel like we've hit everything on this.
I
Cool.
just wanted to throw Andrew's comment on the screen there as well. The inspection can be tracked and recorded in the maintenance as well. So yes, it all can be. Thanks, Andrew. So Michelle, Chad, thanks so much for coming on to the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast. I know I screwed this up a little bit, the presentation part of it. I tried to fix
Nobody
it before
noticed. We were so
live,
busy looking at how good looking Chad is.
Yeah. Well, that may be. Well, okay. That's. I'll leave that.
Wow,
one
his
alone.
head really is a lot bigger when you look at it that way. Holy crap.
Come on, you're in the context.
All right, guys, and of course, your contact information will be below. And by the way, for our listeners, if they wanted to get a free month of service just to try it out, there is a discount code SD22. I think, was it, Chad?
Yeah, that's right.
SD. I imagine
Safety
SD
Dog.
stands for Safety Dog, and then 22 is the year. So SD22.
Woohoo.
So
Sweet.
to get a free month of service. So click on the link down below. If you are a company that doesn't go beyond the 160 and needs help in tracking your maintenance, your vehicle inspections, your hours of service, and even COVID, give ReadyChek a try. Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. Johnny, last word, Johnny. You going down to the border?
No, God, no. I can't leave the house because I don't have my ReadyChek app to inspect my vehicle or start my hours of service for the day. So I'm just homebound. Yep. I'm wearing pants, so we're good. But yeah, I'm just going to stay here at the house.
And you sold the sleds, so you can't go out.
Sold the sled, so can't go snowmobiling no more. So we're waiting for the snow to melt so we can get the new toy out.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
All right,
See
thanks
y'all
for having
later.
us, Chris. John, thanks.